Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Quadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And in this lesson, I wanted to deal with the topic of CBDCs. And as you can see in the headline, cash will be no refuge under CBDCs. And as I was reading through this article and also thinking about what it says in Revelation 13 concerning the MOTB, I'm going to first read a little bit of this and then Lord willing go into that. So it says the world is headed toward central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and everybody knows it, even the people who don't want them, which at the moment looks to be most people. But it's going to be interesting to see, which I implore you to definitely keep your eyes out and keep this note in mind, which is the same people, remember this, right? The same people who made fun of the 1 or 2 or 3 people that started wearing masks in the very beginning of the Crown Royale. The same people who said, I ain't no way I'm ever wearing a mask, F that, ended up saying, there's no way I'm taking off my mask. They were the same people that basically ridiculed others for not putting masks on. Okay? And remember that it took a span of months and propaganda to get these people from, no, I'm not going to put this on, to, no, I'm not going to take this off. Okay, so when it comes to compelling people to at least a decent fraction of the population to accept this, they have ways that they're going to do that. Okay, they have ways that they're going to do that. It takes a bit of, see, a lot of people in this modern generation, they're not resilient. They're not strong. They can't resist. It's just a little bit of desperation, a little bit of pressure, coercion, uncomfortability, and they will opt for convenience, quick. That's how they got a lot of people to take the Vanessa, to drink it, because they put the heat on them. The incentives didn't work, so they brought the heat. But the policymakers have designed it to be so. And CBDCs provide such a compelling opportunity for surveillance and social control that they are irresistible, that the fiat currency system is in the process of imploding, makes it an imperative. My editor and researcher, John B., sent me this tweet. Australia to be functionally cashless by 2025. Australia, now we're pretty much at the end of 2023. Next year is 2024. When they say by 2025, effectively by the time that the year 2024 is over, they're pretty much aiming to be in this kind of situation. Functionally cashless. Australian people have to stop this madness and start using more cash. Otherwise, we will be ruled by the banks and government, and rationing will affect everyone. It was to draw my attention to the timeline for Australia going cashless. And while doing so doesn't coincide with the launch of their CBDC, the RBA is diligently headed there, as are nearly all central banks globally. And this is happening right in front of people's faces, mind you. One area of focus is the Bitcoin capitalist, or in the Bitcoin capitalist, is that we track all the national CBDC deployments and the myriad supranational policies and aspirations that go into them. We call it Eye on Evil Coin for the Mr. Robot fans out there. With the tweet above, I became more intrigued by the call to action itself, because I see this a lot. The idea that the way to resist the CBDC is to keep using cash. This is not only wrong-headed, it's self-defeating. So this is the part here that got me thinking, right? Cash doesn't buy you freedom under CBDCs. The error in thinking so arises from a failure to understand that cash is simply older iteration of what digital cash and CBDCs are going to be. Denominations in a currency backed by nothing, controlled by the very state that you are trying to protect yourself from. And basically, that's what cash, at least the American dollar, for example, is. It used to be backed by gold and silver and all of that good stuff. Now it's nothing. So it's like he said, an iteration of, or like a variation or version, maybe you could say version 1.0 of what they're going to implement. So the CBDC is going to be like a version 2.0 or 1.2 or whatever. But the thing about it is they control the cash because it's make believe. It's backed by nothing. It's backed by what they say it's backed by, and the value of it. And that's why it's you have this thing called a fixed market, for example, right? Which means it's completely manipulated. This is a fixed currency. It's completely manipulated. It's elastic. They can stretch it. They can squeeze it. They can hyperinflate it like a balloon. And so what's going to happen when people who are saying, oh, we have to use more cash, that way they can't force us to go to the CBDCs, and then they hyperinflate the cash that you're using? Do you know what that's going to do? Before you realize it, all those people that were with you saying, all right, cool, let's do this, they're going to start to opt out to CBDCs because they're going to say, hold on. I'm trying to keep using cash, but I went to the store yesterday and a gallon of milk was $5. This afternoon is $12.50. If I go again at the end of the week, it's going to be $25 in cash. But they're telling me that if I was, it's like when you go to the gas station and they tell you when you pay with cash is less, when you pay with card is more. But now they're telling me at the register that this gallon of milk, as where it's $25 in cash, with a CBDC, it's really just $5.99. So imagine they pull something like that. What do you think is going to happen eventually as cash gets more inflated, and then they start telling you, right, as he mentions in this article, they start telling you, why not just opt into the CBDC? They start to make it look like how today they'll tell you, hey, there's a disaster coming, go and buy gold and silver. It'll protect your assets. So when they start to sell the CBDCs like that, well, why don't you just trade and convert your cash into CBDCs and be good, have it stabilized, versus losing your purchasing power by holding on to this. And if they do something like that, they don't need to force you necessarily. Well, they're gonna be doing it indirectly. Okay, they're gonna basically force your hands, but eventually people themselves are gonna say, yo, let me just opt into this. So continuing, it gets worse because this is also the same state that has already weaponized the currency against you, either slowly via targeted inflation or overtly, as we saw here in Canada during the hashtag Freedom Convoy. The only thing I can see happening to the paper cash economy after a given country has successfully gone cashless is that the paper currency will lose most of its value and everything gets far more expensive when priced in terms of cash. Oh, you want to buy this laptop? That'll be 800 digital dollars. But we can also sell it to you in cash for $1,500. How would you like to pay? It'll be easier to destroy cash than to ban it. Far easier. After all, governments and central banks have been destroying cash throughout history. In all probability, they won't even have to ban cash or impose penalties for using it. All they will have to do is crank up the money printer and hyperinflate it out of existence, all the while offering holders of cash the opportunity to switch into CBDC at seemingly advantageous or one-sided terms. See? So in this case, you got to keep in mind the scriptures talk about how the heart of these people, meaning their mind, is deep, is desperately wicked. So by the time they come out and push this CBDC, they have mechanisms in place to make sure that they have closed down all your other options, and they've basically herded you, they've sheep herded you into this one direction, and you don't really have a way to fight back. When you go to Revelation 13 and 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a MARK in their right hand or in their foreheads, which are dealing with the MOTB, which is the CHIP, the implantable CHIP, and that's the form that eventually these CBDCs are going to take at some point. Verse 17, and that no man, here's the key part, right? And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the MARK, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And that's right there, the key part, right? And that no man might buy or sell. So they are trying to implement a system that doesn't have cracks, that doesn't have holes, that doesn't have places you can slip through and do things off the books. They're going to eliminate the off the books. There ain't going to be no side hustles off the books. Do this on the low, because it's not going to work. You're either going to be in a system where every transaction is tracked with your digital ID. They know who's making the purchase, who's buying it, where they're buying it. They know all of those things. Or you're going to be trying to do things off the books. And then when you, whatever, maybe you want to use cash or whatever, you'll find out that it's not really accepted. It's hard. It's hard to even find a place that'll deal with you with that. It's kind of like going to China, and then you have like all these paper yuans, and then you come to the US and you go to Best Buy and you say, I want a TV, and I'll pay you in yuan, in Chinese yuan or whatever. They're gonna look at you like, yo, good luck even trying to do that in Chinatown, because they're accepting dollars over there. See, so it's gonna kind of be like that. So that's why it says no man might buy or sell. So that's the key part right there, that these devils have in mind, hey, if we're really trying to do this, we need to entrap the world in a way where eventually phasing out all other options and leaving you with nothing but this. And that's why it's also going to be such a big test of our faith, because there's going to be no artificial or natural or carnal means that you can really get out of this temptation. You're going to be faced with, you do or you don't, you take it or you don't. And it's that kind of situation, that kind of pressure, that's going to cause a lot of people to break and say, look, man, there's no possible way that we're going to survive if we don't take this thing. If we don't take that MARK. Literally everything is based on that. You can't do nothing without it. So what we going to do? And that's where your faith comes in. Okay, faith is a currency far higher valued above all of these things. But that's why the scriptures say that the whole world is going to be tried. But not a lot of people are going to be able to pass that trial or that test. Okay, so like I said, keep an eye out. When as they keep pushing this, they're going to do it. They're going to eventually speed it up. That's what they like to do anyway. They come with some shock. Oh, wow. Hey, would you look at that? Oh, gotta do this, gotta do that. Yep. And then they start speeding things up. But as the beginning said, right, most people don't want CBDCs. They're like, yo, we're against that. It's an invasion of privacy. We're going to block the ability for you to manufacture and create these kinds of things. It just takes the right crisis at the right time, or the right crises at the right time, and people will start to bend. And these so-called elites understand that, because they've been using that on the people for years, for decades. So they understand what makes you tick, how to do it, when to do it, in what form to do it, and what to bring as a solution. And this is why we're going to need that divine intervention. But anyway, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. Definitely keep an eye on this, because this is the next major prophecy that's going to come to pass. All right, the MOTB. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.